Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. I'm a chef on a mission.
I'm Jamie. You forgot me today.
I didn't forget you.
Okay. You forgot I was sitting next to you.
No, Jamie's with me in the studio.
Okay.
So we talked about the Culinary Institute of America's graduation at Timothy Ryan's speech. Let's talk about the was he the keynote speaker?
Yeah, he was the keynote speaker.
Keynote speaker. Does a graduation have a keynote speaker? I don't know.
Or yes, he was the speaker.
The speaker.
I'm not sure.
So he was a graduate of the Culinary Institute 10 years ago, 2004 class.
Yes.
And he was a very successful chef. He's what, 29 now?
29, yes.
Very successful chef. He's the corporate executive chef for Star Restaurants, for Steven Starr.
Yes. And he's worked in some really great places.
Oh, Jean-Georges. He worked in
Morimoto,
which is Steven Starr restaurant. He was the youngest executive chef in Steven Starr's restaurant in Morimoto. Learned Japanese cuisine from Morimoto. 29 years old and massive success. So he was giving a speech to the graduating class, and he was getting an award from the Culinary Institute, like some kind of medal.
For being successful and being asked to come speak and all that kind of stuff.
Right, so they were honoring this guy. So he gets up to speak. And the message that he gives these students. Now, I'm so glad, Jamie, that I'm not in the situation that these students are. That I'm not.
But you were at one point.
I was to a certain extent.
You were at one point.
And I have to tell you, I'm very blessed and very, very thankful for the situation I have, because we're our own bosses. We're self-employed. He was telling these students basically that they have to go in and work,
to be successful.
And that they're going to miss out on all these things. And he gave an illustration of how a chef's life is, you don't know what happens in between, you just know.
There's an X here and there's an X here, and most people, the line, right, they want to go from point A to point B in a straight line.
Straight line.
And he took the piece of paper, he folded it in half, and crumbled it in the middle.
Right, stuck a pencil through it.
Did he stick a pencil through it?
He stuck a pencil
I thought he crumbled it.
He stuck a pencil through it and goes, "This is how how chefs get from point 1 to 2." Now he made it.
Very difficult is basically how it is. Very bumpy. I was surprised he didn't put bumps into it.
So then he said, he goes, "My wife tells me that I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old." So he's making.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said. He goes, "My wife tells me that I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old at home." And is life really worth that? I mean, what people measure, the CIA is honoring this kid for being successful, but
what is success?
What is success?
And that's funny you say that, because in our interviews, right, we ask people, how do you judge success? What is your feeling on success? What do you think makes something successful? And I think that's a very important thing, that we are talking about, is what is success? What is
success? I mean,
so this guy has worked his tail off for 10 years, and yes, he is very successful. He's worked his way up the corporate ladder.
So if you look at it
in a corporate way,
hierarchy,
he is very successful, right? He probably makes good money. He probably doesn't, works hard to be successful at what he does. But if you look at success in other ways, right? Because we're just getting off of Thanksgiving, so we're just being thankful for things. What is success?
You have all these lawyers like that spend an outrageous amount on school. They get in the profession, they're like, I hate this.
Right. And we know many.
And they have great jobs. They seem to have great paying jobs. They're like, this isn't
this isn't what I want to be doing. I don't want to be working 1,000 hours a week and never being home and trying to have a family and being successful. We have a very good friend that was a lawyer, a very successful, what we thought was successful lawyer, making great money, living in the city. He was never home.
Never home.
Never home. And then his wife, him and his wife had their first baby. And I remember it was like all of a sudden something clicked in his head. He stopped being a lawyer. They moved out of the city. They moved upstate.
And he became a teacher. Yeah. Became a teacher.
He now has 4 children.
I remember he used to tell me that he used to sleep at his desk.
And then wake up in the morning and have to go back to the grind again.
These guys are making $200,000 But really, you know what? I'd rather make half that, less than half that. You know,
And I think he realized that, right? So I think
Right.
a lot of people realize that, but other people
just
never
don't.
realize
And the
that.
Culinary Institute of America, as a formal education for chefs, they're honoring a guy that's preaching to these guys the wrong idea of success. For me, Jamie's success, I go running a lot. I go up on the mountain. I
Right.
love going. I'm going in a half an hour up on the mountain. And you know, when I go with Eric, him and I just stop. And most people that I take up on the mountain, we just stop and we look at the views. And we're like, Eric says it all the time. He goes, I wouldn't trade this for $1 million. He goes, I could never work another 9 to 5 job. And in the chef's case, it's a 9 to 11 job, 9 in the morning to 11 at night. That's when chefs work. They just work all day and 5
All
days,
day.
6 days, 7 days. He goes, I would never trade that. I go, I wouldn't either. I said, I could never work for somebody. I could never, even a 9 to 5 job, because you don't have the flexibility.
I always joke around with you and say, boy, I need a 9 to 5 job. I wish I was home at nights. I wish we had a normal schedule, Saturdays and Sundays off, and we didn't have to work, weekends and holidays and all of that kind of stuff. But truthfully, we say it all the time. We really wouldn't trade it.
We wouldn't trade it because we work for ourselves.
Selves.
We work for ourselves. And yesterday, Thanksgiving, busy day, I looked at him and said, you don't have to be here. I said, Joey, the chef in the kitchen, I had sent him home an hour. He went home an hour
Right. earlier.
Right. Because the kitchen, this staff is great. And I wasn't working yesterday. I was just
You didn't
directing
work,
here
right.
and there. I was here talking to people and this and that, but we didn't have to be here. We were here because we love it.
Right.
And we got to go to family.
Well,
Then we got to go
yes.
to a friend's house afterwards. And we got to see a ton of friends here at the restaurant. I wasn't stuck cooking. I wasn't, and you weren't stuck working. We could have left. And I said, you know what? When you're done because we had a lot of friends here you were talking with, and I was
My
talking.
cousins
and
were here. We had
family
people
was-
at the bar. Yes.
But like, if I was working for somebody, I'd have to be working lunch right now.
Right.
But I'm going in a half an hour. I'm going for a 12-mile run in the snow on the mountain with a friend, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. To me, that's success. To be able to say, you know what, I'm going to blow work off today or blow off going to the office because we want to go to the city to do
Right.
something. We want to go here. We don't have to fill out a request time off. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do that. It's about us making an okay living, practicing our beliefs, not having to budge on our beliefs. So we have a very strong beliefs on food and real food and how the money and the economics should go in food and not give money to big corporations and support organics and don't support GMOs. So we have a very strict business sense on standards, and
Right.
we live those personally, and we do in our business. I think that's the most fortunate
Well,
part.
I think it's interesting that the CIA speaker, that he is totally different than the way that we believe.
Totally
Right,
different.
and I think that whomever's listening to this or watching this, you have to do what's good for you and what makes you successful, and you have to figure out what that
See,
success
that's
is.
the issue.
Right, you have to figure out what success is.
That these students don't know how to figure out, because then they hire or they have a guy come in like this,
Right.
and portray this as success.
Right.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't want his job. I would not want that. I wouldn't want to work for somebody else like that.
Right.
Wouldn't want to have to make comments like I don't know, I barely know I have a 1-year-old. I was in that situation when Courtney was born for the first 2 years. I worked so much and traveled so much that I
But
come home and
he's young too, and he probably hasn't figured that out for himself yet either.
right, I was 29 and I was 30. And
That's how old the speaker was.
And I would come home and I was like, my daughter doesn't know me because she spent the last several days with you, and here comes Dad who's coming around,
Once a
late at
week.
night,
Right.
twice a week, late at night, leaves early in the morning. That sucks. And I was making great money. I was
Right.
making phenomenal money, but you know what?
And I didn't have to work. It
You
was
didn't
great.
have to work. But we are so much happier now, making less, working for ourselves, seeing our kids every single day, being able, if they need us at a school event, being able to say, let's walk away from the
let's walk
restaurant
away.
and let's go do this. Let's go on vacation. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Yeah, we didn't have it easy in the beginning of our restaurant, but we had our focus and we stuck with it and we just went with it. And I think it was just, I saw this guy up there.
Yeah.
And Kevin Batts, I just saw him up there and I said, you know what? This is not success. This is not, at what cost
Is success.
is success?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's
Think
true.
about
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So that's our story on that. What do you consider success? My YouTube, I consider that success. I love getting up and talking on YouTube and telling our story and doing things. And YouTube gives me a check on top of it, right?
Right.
But for the longest time, I didn't get a check from YouTube. It took several years for a check to even be a couple $100. And now the checks are up there. Now we get these checks.
Right.
And we're like, okay, what are we buying this month with our YouTube check? Are we, do this, do that? And we can plan things around that YouTube check. But I'm still the same passionate person talking on YouTube
Right.
that I was 5 years ago without the check. That's how you measure success. You keep doing what you love doing.
Right.
And you don't worry about the money. The money then ends up showing up to you, because that's what it is. And same thing with the restaurant. You were just going over numbers in Thanksgiving. It was our busiest Thanksgiving by a long shot.
Yeah.
By a long shot. But if we looked at the first few years we were open and we looked at our numbers,
Right.
you have to stick with it. You have to have a vision. You have to have a goal. You have to have an end in mind. And you have to stick with it. And you just have to go. And when it's not working, your passion has to take over and say, you know what? My passion's here. I know the ends aren't meeting, but I believe in it and I'm going to keep doing it, right? That's it. That's success.
Yep.
So, I'm going to go out for a run now.
Yep. I am actually probably going to run as well or go to the gym. So
We're not running together, but
not
you're
today.
not today.
It's too cold on the mountain for me.
But check out my YouTube channel and check out some of the things that I have on there, because I do some great mountain run videos where I strap the GoPro on and go. And I just did one in the snow the other day. Oh my gosh. And it's just amazing just to get out there and get lost in the
And
mountains.
that's what success is to
That's
you.
what it is. That's being able to do stuff like that is successful. Being able to run a marathon is a successful thing.
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid for it, right? But I'm just doing it because I love doing it. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano.
And Jamie.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like our videos, please hit like, subscribe to our channel, and definitely pass it on.